Scott Turner. Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for your service to the country. You have won praise recently from Senator Rick Scott and others for beginning the process of reversing some damaging housing policies of the previous administration. Talk to us about what the Biden years left behind for America's home buyers and home owners, like the payment supplement policy.
Yes, sir, Tom, it's great to be with you, and I hope that you and your listeners have a happy Easter. So the Biden administration was very negligent when it came to giving priority to illegal aliens as it pertains to American citizens that have FHA-backed mortgages. And so inside of the FHA, there was a category called the non-permanent resident category that the Biden administration was using to circumvent the law. And so we took that category out of the FHA, the non-permanent resident category, to ensure that those that are receiving FHA-backed mortgages were American citizens. We prioritize American people and not illegal aliens. And so we're looking forward to serving the American people who are first-time home buyers to use the FHA mortgage. And, you know, it's also a great responsibility for the American taxpayers. And as the Secretary of HUD and our team, our job is to be good stewards over the resources that we have. And so taking this rule out of the FHA, or taking this category out of the FHA rule, is a big step towards serving the American people. We have about 750,000 borrowers right now on FHA, and so we want to make sure that those are American citizens.
Mr. Secretary, we know that the Democrats have long wanted HUD to take over local zoning decision-making and take that away from local cities and towns to enforce housing equity or combat alleged discrimination in planning. You've got a lot of folks in suburban communities, particularly since the Obama years, very concerned that Washington will try to force high-density housing into their communities. Talk to us about where the Trump administration is on that. And also in this era of DOGE, how can more of what HUD does be sent back to the states for actually greater local control rather than the opposite?
Well, those are two great statements and questions. So first, the Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing Rule, AFFH as it's known, was a Biden-Obama-era rule that basically made Washington a zoning czar. And as you alluded to, Washington was telling localities, local cities around the country, how they should zone their neighborhoods. Every community is unique in not only how they zone, but the needs that they have, in their neighborhoods, their communities. And so Washington should not be mandating all these bureaucratic regulations as it pertains to how you should build your cities and what type of densities you should have, what type of height restrictions you should have, environmental, all of those things. And so we took down the AFFH rule to ensure that localities had the freedom and the flexibility and the power to have the rulemaking authority to zone their own neighborhoods. It's really returning the trust, the power, and the control back to the localities. And so we are in this time of a housing affordability crisis in our country. Washington should not be picking losers and winners, but localities and families in these neighborhoods should choose where they want to stay and how they want to zone and what they want to build. And so we're excited to take this rule down to restore that power back to our localities. And as far as DOGE goes, from day one, we set up a HUD DOGE task force inside of HUD. Everyone that works at HUD, be it DOGE, be it HUD employees, we're all the same team. And so we set up a task force to find waste, fraud, and abuse. And within just a couple of weeks, we found over $2 billion in savings for the American people. Again, we're stewards over taxpayer dollars. And so as we look to save money, as we look to restore money back to the Treasury for federal expenditures to serve the American people. This is something that we are laser focused on, Tom, and I believe that the American people, when they voted for President Trump, 77 million people voted for this type of transformation, this type of accountability and transparency, and so we're delivering on that, and we're still hard at work. There's a lot more to do, but I'm excited where we are today.
Is the potential sale of the headquarters building, which, as we noted, needs a $500 million worth of repairs and upgrades, that's also part of that overall strategy?
Well, you know, as I said before, and I've said it from day one and been confirmed as secretary, we're going to take inventory of every program at HUD to make sure that we're serving the American people at the level and with the effectiveness and efficiency that we're supposed to be serving. So that means maximizing the budget. It means putting the best people in the best place to do the best job for the American people. It means taking inventory of our headquarters. The building that we have now was built in 1968. There's extreme maintenance problems going on. It's not a good use of taxpayer dollars, and so we are moving ahead, and that means we're one step closer in the article that you're referring to, into moving our team and our staff into a better location to change the paradigm and the culture of HUD. So we're excited, you know, about the things that are coming up, including having a new space for our team as we serve the American people at the highest level.
Mr. Secretary, our national experiment with government-subsidized housing, many believe, has been a failure, particularly in cities like New York, where superblock housing projects are dangerous, the living conditions are deplorable. These projects have turned into, unfortunately, multi-generational housing instead of just sort of temporary housing. How do we get people out of the projects and into better housing that they have a stake in maintaining?
You know, Thomas, you're speaking our language. You know, our goal and our heart at HUD, for me personally and for our team, is to see people live lives of self-sustainability, to change the trajectory of American families. HUD and any type of social safety net was never meant to be a lifestyle. It was never meant to be a hammock, if you will, for people just to rest the rest of their lives on government subsidies. But instead, it was meant and created to be a trampoline to project people on a different trajectory. And so right now, we're working very hard as it pertains to only prioritizing American citizens to live in HUD-funded housing, working with Department of Homeland Security and Secretary Noem and making sure and ensuring that American citizens live in these homes as it pertains to work requirements, and encouraging able-bodied and well-minded people to work as they are on HUD-funded housing. And so the goal is not to grow HUD, not to grow the amount of people on subsidies, but instead to get as many people as we can off of subsidies and look at the people holistically, from a job creation, from a family togetherness, from a skill and workforce training, so that American people live lives that are on a trajectory, and to achieve the American dream of being homeowners.
Mr. Secretary, exit question for you. A lot of positive action taking place in places like Charleston, South Carolina. You just visited there together with Senator Tim Scott to see how they're dealing with the challenge of homelessness. What's happening there that's working, and what do you think other cities across the country can possibly learn?
Yeah, so we had a great trip in Charleston with Senator Tim Scott, who was a gracious host, and the local leaders there welcomed myself and our team. They are doing a tremendous job as it pertains to public-private partnerships inside of opportunity zones, inside of the neighborhoods there at Charleston. 180 Place, as you said and alluded to, is a great facility. They've been around for many, many years in serving our homeless friends, our homeless veterans, not just housing them, but helping them to transform from being homeless to living lives of self-sustainability. And they are a great example of how bringing the public and the private sector together, identifying the issues and coming up with strategies for long-term sustainability to make sure that American citizens that have at one point in their lives been homeless, at one point in their lives been on the streets, are now receiving care, receiving housing, receiving training, and then to enable them to elevate off of homelessness, out of homelessness, to live independent lives. And so they are a great example. And there's others around our country, but they are a great story to be told of how we can do this around our country.
The Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Scott Turner. Mr. Secretary, happy Easter to you. Thank you for being with us today.